very much, Tatiana. Now, if we may have Janelle and Robert come forward, so we will begin the reading of names.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on January 4th. Her age is unknown.
Giovanna Antonzaro of Brazil was killed on January 17th. She was 20 years old.
Monica Loera of Austin, Texas, murdered January 22nd. She was 43 years old.
Jasmine Sierra of Bakersfield, California, murdered January 22nd. She was 52 years old.
Bruna Souza of Brazil was killed on January 23rd. She was 23 years old.
Caitlin Alves of Brazil was killed on January 23rd. She was 23 years old.
Danny of Brazil was killed on January 24th. She was 20 years old.
Fabian Hilario of Brazil was killed on January 27th. She was 20 years old.
Kaden Clark of Mesa, Arizona was killed on February 4th. She was 24 years old.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on February 12th. Her age is unknown.
Veronica Banks Cano of San Antonio, Texas, found dead on February 19th. She was in her mid-30s.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on February 19th. Her age is unknown.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on February 19th. Her age was unknown.
Maya Young of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, murdered on February 21st. She was 25 years old.
Natasha of Brazil was killed on February 24th. She was 37 years old.
DeMarcus Stansberry of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, murdered on February 27th. He was 30 years old.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on February 27th. Her age is unknown.
Kandari Candace Johnson of Burlington, Iowa, murdered on March 2nd. They were 16 years old.
Maria La del Valle of Brazil was killed on March 6th. Her age is unknown.
V of Brazil was killed on March 7th. Their age is unknown.
Mica P. da Silva of Brazil was killed on March 7th. Her age is unknown.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on March 10th. Her age is unknown.
Malu of Brazil was killed on March 11th. They were 30 years old.
Camelia Rios of Brazil was killed on March 14th. She was 32 years old.
Anne Vieira of Brazil was killed on March 20th. They were 16 years old.
Quantry Davia Dawson Yoakum of Los Angeles, California, was murdered on March 23rd. She was 32 years old.
Dias Barros of Brazil was killed on March 23rd. They were 21 years old.
Katie of Brazil was killed on March 27th. She was 42 years old.
Gabriela Rodriguez of Brazil was killed on March 28th. Their age is unknown.
Andino of Brazil was killed on March 29th. Their age is unknown.
Shante Isaac of Houston, Texas, murdered on April 10th. She was 34 years old.
Amanda Arajo of Brazil was killed on April 11th. She was 17 years old.
Bianca Abravanel of Brazil was killed on April 11th. She was 25 years old.
Luana Bergerac of Brazil was killed on April 13th. She was 14 years old.
Kiana Blakely of Rockville, Maryland, murdered April 16. She was 22 years old.
Jessica L.C. Mendez of Brazil was killed on April 16th. She was 24 years old.
Reese Walker of Wichita, Kansas, murdered on May 1. She was 32 years old.
Alana da Silva Pessoa of Brazil was killed on May 4th. She was 22 years old.
Leticia Silva of Brazil was killed on May 5th. She was 22 years old.
Michelle de Souza of Brazil was killed on May 11th. She was 22 years old.
Mercedes Successful of Haines City, Florida, murdered on May 15th. She was 32 years old.
Anna Hickman of Brazil was killed on May 15th. She was 30 years old.
Luanderesa of Brazil was killed on May 16th. Her age is unknown.
Amos Beatty of Burlington, Vermont, murdered on May 25th. He was 38 years old.
Alicia of Pakistan was killed on May 25th. She was 23 years old.
Paulette Gonzalez of Mexico was killed on an unknown date in June. She was 24 years old.
Goddess Diamond of New Orleans, Louisiana, murdered on June 5th. She was 20 years old.
Gabriel Ferreira de Lima of Brazil was killed on June 16th. She was 21 years old.
Paula of Brazil was killed on June 16th. Her age is unknown.
Paula, an unidentified woman of Brazil, was killed on June 18th. Her age is unknown.
Loran Larang of Brazil was killed on June 22nd. She was 19 years old.
Sheila Santos of Brazil was killed on June 24th. Her age is unknown.
Julia Almeida of Brazil was killed on June 25th. She was 28 years old.
Daniele Barbie of Brazil was killed on June 25th. She was 24 years old.
Diane Brazil of Brazil was killed on June 27th. She was 36 years old.
Dora Pereira of Brazil was killed on July 3rd. She was 26 years old.
Admara M. Leal of Brazil was killed on July 11th. She was 36 years old.
Nicola Rocha of Brazil was killed on July 11th. She was 19 years old.
Danica Dobbs of Washington, D.C., murdered on July 13th. She was 22 years old.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on July 13th. Her age is unknown.
Dee Wiggum of Shibuya, Mississippi, murdered on July 23rd. She was 25 years old.
Sabrina E.S. Saras of Brazil was killed on July 25th. She was 25 years old.
Tiago Fernando Batista of Italy was killed on July 29th. They were 30 years old.
Sky Maccabee of Cleveland, Ohio, murdered on July 30th. She was 26 years old.
Hande Kader of Turkey was killed on an unknown date in August. They were 24 years old.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on August 1st. Her age is unknown.
Fiamma Oliveira of Brazil was killed on August 1st. She was 24 years old.
Adrienne Bonet of Brazil was killed on August 1st. They were 43 years old.
Erica Tijerina of El Paso, Texas, murdered on August 8th. She was 36 years old.
Tiffany Rodriguez of Brazil was killed on August 8th. She was 23 years old.
Raylan Thomas of Columbus, Ohio, murdered on August 10th. She was 28 years old.
Brenda of Brazil was killed on August 19th. Her age is unknown.
Amphan Komsong of Thailand was killed on August 20th. They were 28 years old.
Erica W.P. Diaruda of Brazil was killed on August 25th. She was 30 years old.
Bruniel of Brazil was killed on August 29th. Their age is unknown.
Tiana W.P. Alencar of Brazil was killed on September 4th. She was 22 years old.
Hilda A.J. da Silva of Brazil was killed on September 4th. She was 46 years old.
Pamela Pereira of Brazil was killed on September 9th. She was 16 years old.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on September 9th. She was 24 years old.
T.T. Saffron of Chicago, Illinois, killed on September 11th. She was thought to be in her mid-20s.
H.J. Silva of Brazil was killed on September 11th. They were 37 years old.
Crystal Edmonds of Baltimore, Maryland, killed on September 16th. She was 32 years old.
Larissa of Brazil was killed on September 16th. She was 31 years old.
Jazz Alford of North Carolina, killed on September 23rd. She was 30 years old.
Cheyenne da Silva of Brazil was killed on September 24th. Her age is unknown.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on September 30th. Her age is unknown.
Rafael Silva of Brazil was killed on September 30th. They were 17 years old.
W.R. Alexandre of Brazil was killed on October 8th. Their age is unknown.
Brandy Bledsoe of Cleveland, Ohio, killed October 12th. She was 32 years old.
An unidentified woman of Brazil was killed on October 13th. Her age is unknown.
Jasmine Montoy of Brazil was killed on October 16th. She was 20 years old.
Rihanna Ali of Russia was killed on October 20th. She was 25 years old.
Julia Sofia of Brazil was killed on October 21st. She was 20 years old.
Lorena Reyes of Spain was killed on October 24th. She was 32 years old.
J.W. da Silva of Brazil was killed on October 27th. They were 24 years old.
Noonie Norwood of Richmond, Virginia, killed on November 5th. She was 30 years old.
And now, One Light, song written and performed by Ellen Vos and accompanied by Trevor and Jason Watts.
still alight. Behold that light dear, and try to pass it on. One light, one dream, one fight. We fight this fight with you. So we join together and we keep on fighting to live, to be. So we join together and we keep on fighting. We're memories for our dreams. One life, one dream, one fight. We fight this fight with you. We build a light that guides the darkness. We will not forget you. We hold your spirit in this flame, and it fuels our fight for change. One light, one dream, one fight. We are one light. We have one dream. We fight one fight. We are one light. We have one dream. We have one fight. We light this light for you. We fight this fight with you.
Now for a moment of silence. Thank you for the beautiful music.